Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I was kind of in a hurry to get out here in front of the camera today because honestly, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my nerve. This is one of the videos where for the rest of today, I'm going to seriously consider deleting this video. I call this my confessional. A lot of times I sit here and I tell you guys things that I have never told another living soul. It's just easier to sit here in front of the camera and just talk about things that have occurred in my life and that I've never told anybody else. And you know what? I think it does more for me sometimes than it does for any of you guys. It just kind of clears my conscience. That's not really what today's video is about. Today's video, I'm going to tell you right straight out front. I'm a straight guy. I consider myself a straight guy. I've been clean and sober for coming up on 18 years, 17 years and 9 months. Since October 23rd of 2006, I've been completely clean and sober and completely straight. And I've had no urges to have homosexual relationships. But I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of gay interludes throughout my life. And I'm going to talk about that today. Okay, the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm 58 years old, and at this point in my life, I really just don't care. I know who I am. I'm secure in who I am. I realize, I'm at best, what do I have, another 20 years on this earth? At best, maybe a day or two, who knows? And, after losing my girlfriend, Audrey, 3 years ago to COVID, I realized that, enjoy today, live for today. And I know who I am now. And over the last 18 years, things have changed. None of the stuff that I'm going to talk about has happened since. It hasn't happened because I made a conscious effort to stop having gay interludes. It's because I just don't, I realized that what happened to me when I was younger, whenever I talk about this, I lose monetization for my YouTube channel. Like I lose the monetization for the video, so I have to be very careful. When I was younger, my father passed away when I was 9 years old from brain cancer. And my mother started dating a cop when I was about 11 years old. And very, very bad things happened from the time I was 11 years old till I was 14, and I fought him off. I'm just going to leave that there. Hopefully that I don't lose monetization for that. And I started drinking and using drugs. And now, decades later, I realized how much this affected me. Like I said, I consider myself straight. Now that I've been clean and sober for the last 17 and a half years, I've always loved women. I've been attracted to women. But when I was using, I had girlfriends throughout this whole period back when I was using, but I would seek out, I would go to places for immediate gratification. And looking back now, I think I can kind of understand why I did this. The reason I'm talking about this today, I initially was going to talk about how I have an uncle who's my father's brother, and I hadn't heard from him. I haven't talked to him in decades. He was married to my aunt. They had my two cousins. He served in Vietnam, and then I found out he was gay, and he got divorced, and he had a problem with alcohol. He's been clean and sober for decades now, and he's got his significant other, and I have a lot of respect for him for the way that he came out. And I recently got in touch with him through Facebook, and he wasn't sure if I wanted to talk to him, and that broke my heart because I have social anxiety, and I don't eat normally. I have eating issues. I have social anxiety issues, and I was a little slow to answer him. He wanted to go out and meet me for lunch, and he thought it was because he was gay. And I was going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about that more in the video. But I saw a story. I'd never heard of Sketch. Sketch is a Twitter streamer, and he's got over 500,000 followers here on YouTube. Sketch. I'll put the links down below. And he does gaming and other stuff, like Gen Z stuff, I'll just say. And he's been in the news a lot lately because now that he's more famous, he's got 1 million followers on X. He's got a couple million followers on Twitch. He's got 1 million followers on Instagram. This guy is huge. He's 25 or 26 years old. I was just going to call him a kid. And it's come out just recently that he did OnlyFans videos with another man. And he was very depressed about this. It almost led him to do something serious to himself, to end it. And I started thinking about the story about my uncle. And I started to think about all the things, I've told you guys before about, I did a video not too long ago about finding out that my childhood friend was gay, and the interludes we had back when I was younger, but I left out a whole period, what happened to me with the guy that was dating my mother. And then when I started using and drinking in my teen years. Okay, so this is what basically occurred. I had girlfriends all through high school. And I've showed you her before. Beautiful girls. And I've always been attracted to girls. That's me there. And, but even going back to I was 18 years old, I remember leaving a high school party and driving to Manhattan at like 2 a.m. to go to an adult bookstore to have an interlude with a gay interlude. I remember going to bookstores. I remember going to movie theaters. And a lot of times, back when I was this young, 19, 20, 21, I was I'm not bragging, but I was a fairly good-looking guy. And I'm fairly adequately built. And when I would go into these places, these movie theaters, there's the glory holes in these these arcades, and guys would just see me, and I'd have guys surrounding me, and I felt in control. And I would do this. I did this for 2 decades. Like I said, I remember going to New Jersey with one girl, and she fell asleep in the hotel room, and I snuck out, and I went to a local bookstore and had an interlude. I remember doing this in California, in Hollywood. This girl, this gorgeous girl here, this is her in Hollywood. And I snuck out of the hotel room. And again, I went to an adult bookstore and had this interlude. And it wasn't, looking back, I think I understand why I did this now. And I did this hundreds, if not thousands of times. And it was always the same thing, where I would go in and I would be in control. Like I said, they would see me and they'd flock. I'm trying to brag here, but they'd see me and I'd have guys surround me and service me. And I felt in control. And now that I'm 58 years old and I've been clean and sober for all this time, I honestly don't have the urge to do this. I don't find guys attractive. I don't find men attractive. I don't find gay sex, stimulating. I think that in a fantasy, in my head, sometimes the thought of it still might seem intriguing, but an actual guy in front of me, naked, I just, I kind of find it repulsive now. I do, and for the last 18 years. So I realized that I acted out in this way. A lot of the stuff I did, a lot of the drinking and drug use, and see, this is similar with Sketch too, because he says he had a lot of issues with alcohol and drugs, and he did these OnlyFans videos with another guy, and it made me start thinking about this. Now here's the thing: I remember going to gay bars when I was 19 years old. I would go to parties in high school or after high school when I was 20, 21 years old, at keg parties, and I would leave the keg party after I got all intoxicated, and I would go to the city and go to a gay bar, and just to pick up a guy. And I remember picking up this guy I let him pick up me. This guy had to be 65, 70 years old. He was a rich, wealthy guy with a Jaguar. Brought me back to his house, and I would always end up sneaking out of the house, like after the guy fell asleep, and I would be in control of the situation. See, now, I honestly, for 2 decades, I thought I was bisexual, but now, since I've been clean and sober, I don't have the urge. I'm not attracted to men anymore. And it's not something that, and I don't think I was ever attracted to men. I think I was attracted to the power and what happened to me when I was younger. And it starts to click. It starts to make sense now. What happened to me when I was younger. And back when this thing that happened to me with the cop, his thing was to service me, and then he'd give me a roll of quarters, seriously, to play arcade games. when I was young. And now I realized when I was drinking and using for those 2 decades, from the time I was in my late teens till I was 40 years old, that I was acting out on this, that there was something, I still don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but I would seek this out, even though I had a girlfriend, even though I had, beautiful girlfriends that would do, that I had a great sex life with the girls that I dated. I would seek this out whenever I got a buzz. I would leave the girl in the hotel room and go seek out this. And like I said, in the last 18 years, this just hasn't happened. When I first got clean and sober, I still had the urge to go to bookstores, adult bookstores and glory holes and stuff like that. And I knew that if I did that, the two were intertwined, drugs and alcohol and these bookstores or these adult movie theaters. So I avoided them. I knew that if I went there, I would get a rush of adrenaline and I would make a phone call and go get drugs. And luckily for the first year, I avoided them. And then the urge went away. And I realized that I was never really gay. I mean, I am not, right now, I would tell you guys if I was, I'm not attracted to men. If I saw a gay guy, if I saw a guy standing in front of me, a well-built, like if I saw, what's his name? That good-looking dude, everybody thinks, I can't remember his name. Naked in front of me, it kind of repulsed me now, honestly. And it's not something I've tried to change. I realized that mentally, emotionally, I was messed up. And I don't know psychologically what the point of all it is, but I was acting out. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I'm 100% sure whenever I do these videos, I get comments from other guys saying, thank you for being brave enough to talk about this. This happened to me. This happened to me. And I'm sure when I saw this thing with Sketch and, how he got depressed, all this came out and the drug use and everything like that, I saw myself in Sketch. And here's the last thing I want to talk about. When I got clean and sober, I was going to a methadone clinic and we'd have yearly physicals. And they would ask me at the yearly physicals if I wanted to have a blood test to see if I had any sexually transmitted diseases or AIDS, HIV, or any of that stuff. And I would have the physical, and I would have the basic STD tests, but I would skip out on the HIV test because I was terrified. I had thousands, literally, I've never told anybody this, but I had thousands of interludes with probably thousands of guys over 2 decades. When I was using and drinking, I had sex with thousands of people, and I was terrified that I had HIV. And here's the good news: I got extremely lucky. This is one of the reasons that I'm clean and sober today, because I realized how lucky I got. I don't know how I got so lucky. I don't know why it happened. A lot of it, like I told you guys, in these interludes, I was in control, where the person was servicing me. You know what I mean? So my bodily fluid was going one way and it wasn't coming into me. I hate to be that graphic, but I think that has something to do with why I never contracted anything. But knock on wood, I am HIV negative and STD negative, thank the Lord. And I know that I was lucky and I would never risk that again. But I have no urge today to do this stuff. It had something to do with what happened to me when I was younger, and the drug and alcohol, and something that was acting out, trying to be in control of the situation, I guess, because of what happened to me when I was younger. That's the truth. Yeah, I'm a straight guy who's had hundreds of gay sex interludes. It is what it is. Recovery is possible. I'm clean and sober and happy for over 17 years and 9 months now. Recovery is possible. Have a good Tuesday.